Hi, good morning, everybody. It's Alan again with Themis Farms. Great to be back with everybody. And thanks so much for watching and pushing the likes. Really appreciate it. It's so much fun to do these videos when you have just so much going on in your day with a farm and a business to run, and you get to do something different, and it's really fun, and I'm really enjoying it, and I'm so glad that everybody's appreciating what we're doing here at Themis Farms. So my topic today is, I had a meeting, not a meeting, I ran into a fellow farmer. He's a real farmer. He has I did it again. He has a huge farm, and I started asking him about some of his complications or problems or things that happen with growth from being a small farm to growing into a bigger one. And he was a wealth of information. I really wish I could have spent more time with him, but he was sort of on his way. One of the things that came up that even a small farm can relate to is water. And water is a big issue, in particular in the western states. But he solved it in a very unique way, in which he and I had a lot in common because we've gone down the same road recently. He had a $50,000 water bill. Can you imagine a $50,000 a month water bill? Now, he has a massive ranch. And of course, that, in the state of California, we, probably times that by 2 or 3 compared to other states. But the way he tackled that was with solar. And the beauty of the solar, in particular, if you're a farmer, you're pretty much growing farm crop and cattle in a place where there's not a lot of trees, so it's a hand in hand, they work together. I am completely opposed to people covering mass fields, in particular with the San Joaquin Valley being one of the most fertile grounds on the planet. And I drive by and I see acres and acres of this wonderful land underneath these solar panels. That's not it. That's sort of defeating the purpose. But there is a lot going on with people co-opting the two. I don't know if that's quite the right word, but they're pairing the two together. And it's working out really well for some crops that need less sunlight and scorching heat, and so that works great. The beauty of solar, as we know, is once you've bought the system or leased it or however you're going to do it, it begins to pay for itself from that point forward. So if you can get the write-offs, let's say like every year on your tax deductions with your farming and everything else, it just sure makes a lot of sense to me. And they go hand to hand so well with farming and water usage. Water pumps use a lot of electricity, and it's crazy that just our small farm, our well and our well pump and pressurization system is, I'd say, 50% of our entire electric bill monthly. Thank God it's not 50,000. That'd be a little tough. But so where I'm going with this video is alternative ways to maybe supplement those bills or reduce some of your costs, and some really neat and fun ideas. And this is what I really love about farming and having this property is I'm a problem solver. I like to see in the future, and I like to see what's coming, and I like to try and use those tools and the wisdom and stuff that I learned over the years in many different fields to try and help me solve the puzzle of being profitable as a small-time farmer. So solar being one of those for sure. We've just recently put a solar system up I hope to do videos on that in the future. But this is really, I'm going to try and keep this somewhat concise, but it's going to be kind of broad. So hopefully you guys get where I'm going with this, and we'll try and keep it concise. As you know by watching this channel, I kind of like to wander occasionally. So power usage and windmills, and it just seems like that's where everybody's going. We're going completely electric. I like the idea. Obviously, burning fossil fuels is, controversial to say the least. And but tractors and whatnot, we still need our diesel to grow our food, and maybe that won't be the case in the future, but it certainly is today. And until we have a better solution, it's somewhat frustrating to hear people in government tell us that, what we have to do tomorrow when they haven't given us an avenue to fix the situation that we're in. Like, it's okay if you ban something, but you need a boat to step onto that isn't sinking, right? Anyway, I don't want to get too political with all that, but they're working on it, we're working on it, and the ingenuity of people and technology is a lot of what this conversation is about this morning. We are headed into a technological age in which people aren't aware of. In particular, I think farmers have, in some ways, industrialized farming almost to the point that it's maxed out. They've reached a point where the machinery can't get any larger and any more efficient than it currently is. So we're going to be looking and relying upon software and technical innovation to improve our production level and less power consumption. Okay? And that's going to be really fun to watch coming over the years. I know of a few projects. Some of you who know me know that I'm very much into cryptocurrencies. I think the word currency is really holding a lot of people back because they think it's competing with a dollar. That's not what cryptocurrencies are about. 99% of all cryptocurrencies have nothing to do with a currency. They just don't. They're new tech companies with great ideas and using technology and software to improve every action and every movement in humanity, not just farming. So it's good stuff. Okay. Sometimes solar doesn't work for people. I get that. Windmills, it just doesn't work in a lot of cases. Okay. A lot of farms just can't put it up. And I don't think that every farmer should put it up. I'm not trying to promote anybody to do anything that doesn't fit in their budget or doesn't make dollars and cents. But I will say that if you do look into it, I think you're going to find it beneficial. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I think it's a good idea to put it on top of the barn and not on top of fertile soil. But, that's my understanding or beliefs. So the location that you're in the country is really important. Your location in your town or village, want to be north facing, obviously. All of those things, a solar professional can help you out with. And this show isn't really about trying to convince you to get solar or to promote a particular solar company or style at all. That's not what this video is about. This video is about, let's look forward and try and make our farms efficient as possible. One of the ways we did that is we got into a couple of things called mining and farming and staking. All of those are very deep conversations, but they're things that once you've tackled the solar thing, then you starts to make sense that, wow, this might work for me as a supplemental income to where I can maybe pay for the cost of the feed of my livestock or my diesel fuel or whatever it might be. and it's green technology, and you're going to be able to write a lot of that off because it's infrastructure and it's going to be, you know, looked as future leaning towards green footprint. So your location in the country is pretty important. Your tax ramifications, depending on what state you're in, is going to be huge as well, and federally. They're really promoting a lot of this Green New Deal, as we know, and I think their intentions are really good in this area, and I believe that a lot of it will be very successful. And one of the things also that we like to be self-contained, self-reliant. Almost every farmer understands that. Because when the grid goes down and your power's out and you still have to milk the cow, you still have to run the machinery, you still need lights on, you still need these things. Solar can really be a huge advantage in that area. And or run a generator, obviously, or run something off your PTO on your tractor. All of those things are options. But solar is a great avenue to look into as far as being self-reliant and, pumping the water from the well or the stream or the river, wherever you are. You need to move water, and moving water efficiently is really, it's key to any farmer, whether you be vegetables or animals. They've got to have water. So that's really where we're at. Okay, I want to get into a subject that kind of anybody who knows me knows that I like I mentioned earlier, I really like where the technology of crypto is going. I'm not going to call it a currency. We just went over that. These are ideas that are forward thinking, and they run on particular platforms to where your small investment or a large investment, depending on how big your farm is, once you've gotten your solar in and you say, well, what else can I do with all this excess energy? Well, a lot of farmers and people they want to oversize their solar panels or windmills and sell it back to the grid. Well, that makes a lot of sense, and it really is green for the other people that, can't have solar panels, and that helps out a lot. But I'm going to give you another option here this morning, and this is a good one. And the numbers aren't exact, but you can look into it, and they're pretty close. Here, where I live, solar or electricity from the grid is anywhere between 10 and 18 cents a kilowatt, okay? It's probably cheaper where you're at. This is, again, Cali. That number is crazy to some of you out there. You're like, wow, I don't pay over 8 or 10. Those people, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense to have solar because their expense at the end of the month really isn't that big a deal. Electricity, whether they're in an area where it has a lot of hydroelectricity or wherever it may be, power's cheap to those people. Like I said, this is location specific. But if you're paying like 15, 20, even 20 cents in some places per kilowatt hour, that's a lot of money. And you can save and you can learn ways to make money with your power other than selling it back to the grid. I'm going to get into this in further videos, but let's just throw some numbers out there. So you buy, in my particular case, let's just say I spend 12 cents, okay, on an average. When I sell it back to PG&E, I get 6, 8 cents. Why? Why is that? That's, why would you do that? Number one. Well, you don't have a big giant battery bank. You have nowhere to store this power. You can only make power this time of year is almost winter time, and it's 4 or 5, 6 hours a day. So If you don't have a giant battery bank, you have to do something with the excess power that you've generated, because we all oversize our solar arrays intentionally, because in the future you're going to use more electricity and you want to plan for that. You know. So I'm giving you an opportunity to look into, and you can look into my site. Our site really isn't into it that much, but I do have another channel and a complete other site to where you can learn more about this, and a little cross marketing here. And it's called The Staple Crew. You can look us up in YouTube. You can look us up. We have an email address, The Staple Crew. And you can find more about what I'm about to talk about. But I'm going to get back to those numbers with you. Okay, so you're getting 8 cents. So they're profiting 6 cents off of you. You say, well, that doesn't seem fair, but that's kind of the way it is set up right now. They have to make a profit, and I understand. They have a lot of overhead. I get that. Well, what if I told you per kilowatt, you could profit as much as 60, maybe even 70, 80 cents a kilowatt? Wait a minute. What? Yes. The way you can do that, again, is at the other channel. But there's numerous ways to do this. And that's why I consider farmers, the self-reliant attitude that a lot of them have, are a perfect candidate for what I'm talking about here. You can set up a crypto mining situation to where you're using your electricity, you're turning what you would get 8 cents for into 80 cents per kilowatt. That's right. That's at today's current prices. So you're mining the sun and you're making 60 cents profit on top of what you would have made selling it to your local power utility company. Well, I don't know about you, but once you've got your system built, and once you've had the federal tax deduction of it, and once you've had the farm deduction of it, and the equipment of it, that might be something you might want to look into, because a lot of small farms, they might actually generate, it depending on, again, on your location, as much solar power as they do selling their livestock or their vegetable at the end of the month. I'm not saying that you should stop farming and just start mining. That's not at all what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is it's another avenue to supplement your farm's income, your overhead, and all of your expenses. We all have expenses, and it doesn't matter what business you're in. You just happen to be in small farming, and in a lot of ways, it's a struggle. It's a tough deal. It's not easy to be a farmer, and it's fun. It's for a lot of us, but it should have some financial incentives more than it currently does, in my opinion. But again, that's my opinion. So you can look into it at my other channel, at thestaplecrew.com, and you can find us there. We're also on YouTube. This is a bit of a shameless plug, but this is an idea that I want you, because this is how ideas work, right? I share it with one farmer. He tells me about this massive bill he has, and we both agree and understand the benefits of solar. But I actually mentioned to him, well, you might want to consider some other options. And there are things called staking, and there are things called mining. And these things are extremely profitable right now, in particular with green energy. And it's the future, and it's coming at us very quickly. And I just think it's a beautiful way for you to supplement some wonderful profits and possibly pay for some new equipment or a better facility, or maybe even larger solar panels. So I just wanted to go over a couple of those things. I think I covered lightly dusted over the top of what I wanted to talk about, but it's all of these are possibilities and advantages to the small farmer. And with that said, I'd like to wish everybody a great day, happy farming, and again, look us up at Themis Farms. Thanks for being with me.